Let's talk about freedom, man. You see this thing with Arnold?
Yes.
Screw your freedom. I shouldn't do that impersonation. Arnold says, screw your freedom to vaccine hesitant Americans. And that was it. He was on CNN for some reason with Vindman, Army Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, for some reason.
The whistleblower, as he admits.
The general idea, I guess, from Mr. Arnold, the governor, is that with freedom comes responsibility. And that in a pandemic, people should be responsible and recognize their responsibility. You know what? He's not wrong. He's just a dick. Don't screw your freedom. Freedom is one of the most important things. Protecting the individual protects the system as a whole. Decentralized systems work better. That's why America's been so bountiful and successful and wealthy. And that's why the Soviet Union no longer exists. So no, don't screw your freedom. Protect the freedom. And also recognize your responsibilities, but do it better. In this instance, I think the issue is we're facing one of the most difficult challenges, and it's the threat of a pandemic from the authorities to try and gain, I don't know, somewhat ancillary political powers. They're gaining so much by exploiting this crisis. So the risk is, during World War II, we had an Office of Censorship. Loose lips sink ships. That's crazy. We hate censorship. But what would you do during World War II? You never know if someone's listening. You might have some information. Information wasn't traveling as fast. So we do recognize our responsibility. But I don't know. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the celebrity stuff?
Well, like I said to Arnold, I don't think he fundamentally understands what the issue here is, or he's misrepresenting it. It's not about freedom. You should always have the right to decide what goes into your body, whether a government authority figure says so or not. It's my body, my choice. And that goes back to the point that I was suggesting, is the vaccine ultimately works to prevent you from getting severe symptoms of it. And Dr. Rochelle Walensky drew this out essentially a week and a half ago. So it's there in black and white for anybody to go read what she said herself. But the point remains that it is a decision to limit the risk of the virus that it poses to me individually. And so it's each person's life to live on their own, and we should respect each person's autonomy. It's not like people are going to be spreading the disease if they're asymptomatic and they haven't gotten the vaccine. That is really such a far extreme outlier case that we are really trying to put some totalitarian system in place to prevent extreme outliers. That seems to be a bit like what we're doing.
Did they flip on asymptomatic spread?
It's very low. Like it was something like 19 to 30% of the spread is pre-symptomatic, and then I think asymptomatic was lower than that.
This is why I can't stand the celebrities. This is one of the most damaging things you could do if you were actively trying to get people to get the vaccine. The best thing you could do to protect individuals, to make sure we reduce the amount of adverse events that we see in VAERS, and is to tell people, I trust you to make the right decision. I trust you to talk to someone you trust. Like, you gotta give. You know what I mean? When you come out and you bash someone over the head figuratively, like do as I say or else, they say I don't trust you. When you say screw your freedom, you're like,
you're turning it into a political paradigm at that point.
Right.
What you need to be doing is if I was going to trust somebody who took the vaccine, and look, I decided to take the vaccine because I crunched the data. I said states that have higher vaccination rates, it looks like they have less percentage of people who are getting severe symptoms. It seems like it's working. So that persuaded me. Like, I just did my own data analysis and ran the comparative research, and I found that, okay, it holds up. It washes. So you look people in the eye, and people who are hesitant or afraid to use the vaccine, and I'm not telling anybody to use it or not use it. Don't get me wrong. But I would say you appeal to, like, I don't want to see people get extremely sick with this virus. I don't want to see your children lose a loved one over this. And so if you're at risk, you should talk to your doctor about getting this, because it could really save your life potentially. If they would just leave it with that kind of sincere pitch, then it would be more persuasive to people. But when you interject the politics in there and the mandates, and where we already have, what's the fully vaccinated rate is 60% plus,
in
right?
the U.S.?
Yeah, I think it's over
50.
50.2
or
60% of adults, I believe.
Okay,
more
right.
or less.
Yeah,
60% of adults, I believe. The last time I checked the data,
Australia was
2
like
years
18.
ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I just believe that. It does help for adults who are especially over 40. 98.4% or so of the mortality is over 40 years old. So I think that the statistics bear out that you should get it. You should consider getting it at that rate.
The issue is freedom.
But they're not. But they turn into a freedom versus authority thing.
This is why the Arnold thing is such a problem.
Yes.
Because we're talking about vaccine passports. We're talking about, Libby Emmons, who was on the show recently. She tweeted that she doesn't believe children should have to wear masks, but her child will be wearing a mask because there's no options in New York City. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, leave New York City. Don't make your kid go. If you think it's wrong for your child, you make the choice. It's about freedom. So when he's saying screw your freedom, I don't feel like he's actually talking about the vaccine, to be honest. I think he's talking about the expansion of the surveillance state, the expansion of people demanding you show your papers, things I do not agree with. I think there's a mix between individual responsibility and responsibility to the greater community, and we have to find a balance, and it's not in authoritarianism. Making everybody adhere to a strict authority. Now, people have to have some level of, autonomy. That's why I was saying, the Soviet Union, they lasted 69 years, fell apart. The United States, a couple hundred years, and the wealthiest, most powerful country, and all that good stuff. It's because of decentralization. It's because of liberty.
Right.
It's because people can challenge the status quo. We're losing that.
I think there are times when you want to install authoritarian, activity to preserve a nation, which we did with the polio vaccine, I think, or with smallpox we brought up earlier.
Polio. Yeah.
Smallpox, however, does not exist in the animal population other than humans that we knew of. So that was why we were able to vaccinate and wipe it out. So it was an effective use of an authoritarian vaccine. This virus seems to exist in the animal population, meaning that you can't destroy it with a vaccine because it's going to be on all the animals that aren't vaccinated at all times.
Mutations can occur in animals, I guess.
Right.
And then the mutations of vaccines.
It
It seems more similar to a flu, which is difficult to you can't have. We haven't figured out how to, eradicate flu yet.
Right.
So I don't see an It just doesn't make sense to authoritatively do that.
It'll be booster shots forever. I mean, John?
But
the third shot came out today
for the immunocompromised. But you know what? Okay, good. All right. So, the issue should be on the policy front. It should be get your yearly COVID shot, but not mandate, not lock everything down. I don't have an issue with yearly flu shots.
It should be like the flu shot, and what we're seeing with the Delta variant is sort of the normal course of pandemics that we've seen from 1968 and 1919. Where you have this deadly wave, and then it mutates into a more contagious but less deadly variant. So it's it's sort of a natural flow of it that's kind of hidden with the obsession about cases right now. But if you look at the mortality rates and hospitalization, legitimate hospitalizations, it kind of bears it out. And what I mean by that is they don't go into a hospital for a routine checkup or something and they happen to test for COVID. That doesn't necessarily mean they went there for COVID. So this very opaque data is difficult, and they've made mistakes with it lately. But the point is that it does seem to strike me the risk breakdown is it should be like a flu shot. The doctor says, I recommend that you get it because you're obese or you have some sort of health factors and you're in the age group. But mandating that children get it, I don't see the science there. I
just didn't really think the mandates in general.
Yeah.
Because the problem arises when, that venue I mentioned where the woman couldn't go to a show because her doctor recommended against it. Are we really going this route where it's like you in New York City you're not going to be able to go to a bar because they're like, well, then you got to get a negative test. So we're going to put a financial pressure. I assume that I heard they're not doing the free tests anymore. I guess so. Now what? Every 3 days you got to go to a clinic because you have an underlying medical condition. It's like throw the ADA out the window, man. I'm not okay with that. I think we have to respect individual autonomy. And
well, one thing that we could say right now about the progressive left is they haven't been hiding who they are since Woodrow Wilson. They have, he brought up the Alien and Sedition Act, or the Alien Sedition Act, again, Part 2, that basically made it against the government to criticize it during wartime, etc. They have wanted a technocratic managed society since that period, and what the information age is since 1990 is given them the tools to do it. And since everything is a means to an end for these people, and you could read it in Saul Alinsky, Reveille for Radicals or whatever, everything's a means to an end. So they will weaponize the DOJ, they will weaponize the CDC, they will weaponize every tool at their disposal. There is no moral barrier that was in the place when the Constitution was written. For them, they don't even see those barriers. They see the utopian end line as a perfectly little managed anthill where they basically just direct people to go in a place and it's all harmonious and everybody has their little food in their little house and their little transport and it's not polluting the environment, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what they see. And that's where you get like very intelligent people support these sort of causes. They don't see it as authoritarian. They just see it as proper management of society. And so for us, I'm not going to speak for you, but I mean, from my personal perspective, respecting the Constitution and individual rights and wanting people to have their life protected because they're given this gift, they have this agency, they have this wonderful chance to experience life with all the freedom and opportunity and control that they have over their own lives. If this is taken away, then humanity as we know it is lost. It's not. For me, humanity sort of ceases to exist.
Yeah,
sort of
it'll be the Borg.
Yes.
You know what this is. It goes back to colleges when I was a kid, and everyone kept demanding I go to college. You got to go to college, get that degree. I was like, I can't afford to go to college. Get loans. Why? What am I going to do in college? I was lucky because I was told when I was in grade school, trust me, grade school is stupid. Once you go to high school, it's so much better. They have these different programs and you can choose some of your classes. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I went to high school and it was the exact same trash. And so I said, I'm out. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.